It is not easy being an empath in a normal world. And it's no secret that a lot of the times in the realm of natural health and healing and all things empath and HSP, that we're usually talking about women. But what about the men? There is a great deal of men out there who identify as empaths or highly sensitive people. And I would argue that it is even more difficult for sensitively wired men. That is what we're talking about in this video. Hey, Leslie Huddart here, and I help empaths, seekers, and highly sensitive people release the trauma trapped in their body without years of therapy by getting down to the subtle body level. And in this video, we're talking about how empathic men have it even harder than empathic women. So what we're going to go over in this video is 3 areas that I think are extra challenges, and I'm also going to give you a little tip on what to do about that, whether you are the man yourself or whether you are a woman supporting the man in your life. Heads up that this is mostly from the heteronormative perspective. I found these things to be true generally for straight identifying men. I've seen it be a little bit different in gay men. And these are sort of archetypes and stereotypes, so you might be a mix of this. Please take what is useful from this video and leave out the rest. Here we go. The first thing that is difficult and important key to know about men who identify as empathic or sensitive, or maybe don't identify as that, but actually are. That's part of the problem, is that men have been really taught that it's important to suppress your emotions for whatever culturally normative things that's been aimed at, whether it's being strong or otherwise. There's lifelong spoken or unspoken rules about not expressing emotions, just sucking it up and being a man. So if we take that and we say, well, what can we do to support men, whether that's you or your partner, is to really understand that also as women, we tend to really give a double standard. We want men to be sensitive in one moment, but then we're also really kind of unnerved when they show emotion or weakness at the same time. So I put it to all of us that we are also sometimes unknowingly perpetuating those double standards on men, and that is a thing that we can use to support men in our lives. Number 2, it tends to be a little bit more difficult for men to feel into their bodies. I think this is probably because it's a little bit having to do with number 1, when there's a suppression of connection with emotions, that tends to spill over into connection with the body itself. Now, this isn't always true, but there's a little bit of a tendency here, or at least a retraining that needs to happen. This is part of what we do in our subtle body training, but the fix here is to really do more things that are very body-centered. This could be yoga, it could be various variations of somatic therapy, things where you're really working on the mind-body connection, really taking the mind down into the body, guided meditations. It will feel at first, for someone who feels like it's difficult to connect with their body, a little bit like you're pushing up against a brick wall, but I promise if you persist, you will start to feel that sense sort of expand. One key here is to just allow yourself to think that maybe you're making it up, because you're probably not. And if you want to dive into our free 7-day guided audio meditations to help you reconnect and rewire these parts of the subtle body, I'll put a link to that below. That's something that you can use as a resource. Number 3, and this is the biggest one that we are saving the best for last, is the expression of anger. Now, anger is difficult for most people to express, but men have a particularly difficult challenge, I would say, in this area. And the reason is that most men growing up, at least of my generation, have been really subjected to and seen examples of what we now call toxic masculinity. Maybe the toxic angers of their fathers. They've seen the way that other men have presented anger mixed with how it usually comes out in negative ways, which is anger over top of aggression, anger over top of wounding, anger over top of attacking and harming other people. And so what I've seen happen in men's sort of subtle inner worlds is that they've seen that and know that they don't want to be that. And so they end up shutting down their anger. But the problem is when we shut down all of the anger as a global emotion, we also end up shutting down our vitality. This is true for women as well, but particularly difficult for men. So when we freeze out anger, it also inadvertently cuts off men from a deep part of their vitality. So what's the fix? The fix that I would offer you around a mind shift is that anger has both a dark side, which we all know pretty clearly from experiences in the world, maybe within our own families, maybe with our fathers, but anger also has a light side. The light side of anger is the archetype of the righteous warrior, the upstanding warrior who is in service of the heart. In ancient times, this was in service of the monarchy, in service of the queen, in an upstanding way, taking a direction from the heart and from ideally the upstanding ruler. In this case, the heart is the inner ruler of the body, and defending what is right and what is good. That is the righteous warrior archetype. And if you are listening to this, you have this within you, whether you are in a masculine or feminine body. So the mind shift that we make around anger is that anger does have a purpose, and anger is one of the best protectors. Righteous anger is the archetype that stands up, that says, this is not right and I will not stand for it. The ideal upstandingness of the masculine yang energy as an archetype is that which protects those who are less empowered, the man who stands up for women and children and those who needs his protection. So as we are rehabbing anger in ourselves, what we can do is a couple of things. One is to encourage men to express their righteous anger, not in toxic acting out sort of ways, but in really feeling upset and allowing that to come out. It's very important and very helpful to provide a feedback loop for men, not just encouraging them to express and feel comfortable expressing their anger, not at anyone in an attacking way, but just to allow it to come up and out, and specifically to reflect to them that when you see that happening, that you actually feel comfortable, you feel safe, you feel protected, you feel like it's right on that they expressed it in that way. This feedback loop can be very healing, especially to the protector system of men who are really rehabbing their anger. And that encouragement can rehab that old mind story that says anytime someone is getting worked up or raising their voice or expressing strength or even anger in this way, that it's a bad thing. And instead, notice the truth that when righteous anger, when the warrior and the protector is there in a heart-aligned way, it actually provides safety for everyone present. And it's a good thing. It's part of allowing vitality to come up and through us. So these are some challenges that I have seen my brothers in general have difficulty with out in the world. Brothers as in a wider part of men. I didn't grow up with brothers, so it's been a learning curve for me in working with men over the years. And I hope that these mind shifts will help everyone, men and women included, to really help to support the yang masculine archetype that comes out through men very easily. I hope this was helpful for you. If there's someone that you know that needs this, send the video on. And if you would like to help us with our work of educating people out in the world that the inner world is really the basis for our happiness, our inner peace in life, please subscribe and like and spread the love. You are a soul with a body and you deserve great things. Glad to be here with you, and I'll see you next time.